Welcome to my wild and free Wednesday night Vibe Ranters. So excited to be here with you all tonight with our very, very good friend Lindsey from Rogueways. So good. I have a lot of friends in the chat already. What's up, Snake Jones, breaking your internet fast to talk about rabbits and chickens and the horniest billy goats in Missouri, apparently. Cool. Can't wait to meet all your furry friends and feathered friends later in the month. That's going to be amazing. And I see Dakota in the chat, who is a big fan of Lindsey's. I met Dakota today, which was really cool. We had a heart-to-heart about music festivals. And, remember that conversation we did about the psychedelic vampires thing?
I do, yeah. I think, that was a good one. People should go check it out.
A very unique conversation. Yeah, we got to follow up on that with Dakota today. It was pretty cool. And he didn't know that you're going to be on Vibe Rant tonight. So it was like,
good timing.
That's right.
Dakota is awesome. Very gifted as well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can't wait to see what he gets up to when he starts his own podcast. Also see Kabir in the chat. What's up, Kabir? Juliana, Davin, Jenny B, Matt Jones. Happy to see everyone here. Sound off in the chat. Love you all.
Hi, everybody. Love you all. All those names I know and love.
I know. It's amazing how much overlap there is in our communities. Actually, it's just really when I got connected with you, I got a lot better of a community. So
it's weird. I attract the best people. That's not weird. It's just awesome for me because I attract the best people and like no trolls almost ever. I've had like 2 trolls in 3.5 years. I think that's amazing in itself. Like there should be more than that, but I'm glad there's not. I think they just,
your vibe attracts your tribe. I don't get trolls either. It's pretty awesome.
I think they come to try to troll and then they like get interested in what we're talking about and then they realize everyone there is like pretty real and they probably become a member of the community. They're like, oh, actually, because I think trolls are after insincerity, and that's at least when as a teacher, that's who my trolls always were. The kids who were like, I see through this bullshit. And I'm like, yeah, good. You do. I love your trolling. Keep doing that. And they were like, wait, what? But people don't like hypocrisy. People don't like things that aren't real. So I think trolls are the same and they're coming from the same sort of cut as the kids in the classroom who like to poke holes in things. So I can vibe with that.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Love the trolls. We're here to love the unlovable, and trolls are far from the hardest to love part of the reality. So
they're often the smartest too. It's just like comedians, you have to be able to see things from multiple angles at once in order to find the holes and in order to make the jokes that are actually funny. And I feel like most trolls are pretty intelligent. Some of them really are just little shitheads that are just saying like curse words because it's fun or whatever. So there's some of those too.
You know what? I gotta throw out there. I'm really proud of my peeps for being on Rockfin more than YouTube right now. There's way more people over on Rockfin. So if you're interested in checking out the probably more lady chat that's going on over there and will be for the rest of the episode, you know what it is, rockfin.com/InnerVerse, and you'll see us live there.
And if you're on Rockfin and you're a supporter of Chances or my own or any of the other channels there, then you get access to the Forbidden Knowledge News Conference that starts this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's going to be all sorts of cool speakers, myself included on Saturday. At some time in the day, I'll be talking about psychopathy, and you get all of it for free if you're a supporter on Rockfin. It'll just be streaming a premium. I'm at 4 p.m. Mountain on Saturday on the Forbidden Knowledge News Network.
That is cool. Very cool. Yeah, I hadn't heard of that yet, so good for me.
Yeah, you should come check it out. There's so many really good people. Charlie Robinson, X-Cube 420, Corey Hughes, all of the Day Zero people, basically, and more people who I don't even know yet, of course. And so it's going to be really cool. All 3 days.
I love it. And I got to say, awesome to hear from Shannon in the chat. Painting while listening, that's always a good call.
Nice.
Getting a start on the flow state early.
Yes. I made my orgone earlier today, so I got my art in.
You know what? Johnny, your guy, he just DM'd me about my offer to bring him in here with us, and he said, gross. I talk to her all the time.
He's He's like, I want to spend more time with her. No, it's actually funny because we've both been a lot busier than we have been for the past few years that we've been living together. And so we don't spend as much time together, and we're both like cranky about it. We're like getting cranky at each other, and we're like, that's pretty cool actually. It's pretty cool that we're spending less time together and that we're mad about it. I think a lot of couples are the opposite way around. You know, they never spent much time together. Then this whole shenanigans came and they had to spend so much more time together for the past 2 years. And that made them cranky. They were upset about it. We're like the opposite. Like, can we go back to spending more time together? 24 hours a day isn't enough.
That's a good sign. It's a good sign.
It's a good sign. Yeah.
You're both really fun to hang out with. So I get it. So what's keeping you so busy? Do you want to give us a rundown on some new stuff going on, or updates on things that have been going on?
Well, part of it, as I think both your audience and my audience knows, is Brown's gas. It's the aqua cure. Like, I just have my energy back. And some people are like, you're like a machine, you're like a cog, like a wind-up toy that just never has the wind-up go back down again. And like, that's how I've been my whole life. I'm super high energy. I have a billion things I like to do. It's not stress. It's just like, I just like doing things. And so I'm constantly doing them. And for many years now, I've been the opposite, and I haven't been doing much things at all, and I've been getting slower and slower with less and less energy. And so since doing the aqua cure and also having my intrinsic data field broadcaster Chi-O on my neck all day every day, that is literally broadcasting radionics frequencies that are tuned just to me, I have my energy back again. I'm like healing, and it's amazing. So I can do all the things now. And I've been doing a ton of spiritual support work and healings for people. I've been doing healing ceremonies and sessions. I've been doing readings, tarot readings. I've been doing guidance sessions. I'm doing more, I guess, clairvoyant type readings for people now, which is a newer thing. I don't offer it on its own yet, but it will be soon. Because that's getting clearer and clearer as well. And so a lot of spiritual support work. And then, of course, I do Brighter You, which we just finished a 6-week course. Some people in the chat may want to out themselves as Brighter You grads if they like it. I don't like to out other people, but it's amazing. All the people who are in Brighter You, all 6 weeks, are just learning and learning and growing and opening their spiritual channels and finding spiritual skills they didn't know they had, and remote viewing and psychic sites of experiences and all these things, giving people blessings and healings themselves. And by the end, they're like, oh my God, I didn't know I could do these things. And I'm like, that's what Brighter You is. So that's been really exciting. We just ended that, taking a few-week break. We're going to start another Brighter You 6-week session on April 6th, I want to say. Let me look. April 6th is the first day. It's every Wednesday for 6 weeks. And so I've been doing that. I've been making tons of orgone. I'm about to do 2 different conferences, not conferences, but conventions. So I'll have like a little booth. I'll sell my books. I'll have my orgone. I'll have all my healings that I offer. And Johnny's going to have some of his art there as well, meditative art. And yes, awesome. There's one of the books right now. And I also just finished my 6th book, which was a channeled book. It's very short. It's 80 pages. I like to highlight that because I know some people are like, oh, I hate reading. You don't have to hate reading when this book is this short. And it's channeled, and it's very, my last book, All Endings Are Beginnings, was a channeled book as well. It's a little different, though, because it's a sort of oracle. You can flip to any page and have an answer there for you in response to your questions, or just a thought for the day, or however you want to use that. And this one is much more of a text.
Your last one, the All Endings Are Beginnings, Gordy busted out all the time at the end of Weaving Spiders episodes, and it never fails to encapsulate what we just went through in like a 4 or 5 hour session.
I'm not surprised anymore because I hear this all the time from people who buy it. They'll write me and they'll be like, oh my God, listen, here was the question, here was the answer. And I'm like, every time it's like too perfect. So but that's what you get, I think, when things are genuinely channeled. It's beyond us, like you couldn't do this if you tried, but here it is. And this newer book is exactly like that. It's called The Key of Transformational Healing. And there's things in it that I'm like, I don't know what that really is. I'm figuring it out with everybody else who's reading it. So it's a pretty cool book. It's very nice. And Johnny, of course, did the cover art, which is really beautiful. So if anybody wants to go check that out, it's available on Amazon right now. I don't have copies yet because it takes them a long time for some reason. Someone just got their first copy that I know of today. The first physical copy. But if you want to, you can get it from Amazon right now. You can wait until I have some and get it from me with an inscription, or you can also download it from my site digitally if you like to do e-reading.
I love it, man.
That's what I've been up to.
There's a lot of stuff in there that we could dive into more. We'll see. But first of all, I got to ask, would you call my mom and tell her about the Browns gas? Just tell her exactly what you just told me. Maybe elaborate some more, because I tried for weeks after I had George on to get my mom or my dad, or maybe both of them, to watch at least enough of the interview to get to the point where he talks about what Browns gas can do. And for whatever reason, I sat down with her and made her watch like 20 minutes of it with me. And then we got busy and I was like, okay, here it is. It's open. Come back to it later. Thank you, please. And instead, what she did was send it to her business partner, who's like a really mechanic, like inclined guy. And he heard George talking about fuel saver inventions, and he immediately shut it off and called my mom. And he's like, this guy's a scam artist. Nobody's ever invented anything that could ever save fuel economy in any way, shape, or form. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it. So everything else he has to say must be a scam. And that's where my mom is at with the idea of getting an AquaCure. So will you call her, please?
Yeah,
She's on Telegram.
Really? Wow,
a little bit.
Your mom's savvy.
I
don't know. That's my main thing too. Is I was like, I want my mom to have this. I want my mom to live forever. You know, I don't know if you and George got into he told me afterwards about the mouse studies of the 30 to 50% life extension. Did you guys talk about that?
Yeah, he definitely touched on that.
I'm like, we didn't hit on it on the show, and I'm like, okay, well, next time you're coming back, we'll make sure to highlight that, because I don't want to live forever at all. I'm not even really sure I want to live as long as psychics tell me I'm going to live. Like 97 is a long, long time.
Oh, you'll find plenty to do. It's good. The life is huge.
And now
forever is forever. That's too much, but
that's too much. Well,
we'd love to have you around that long.
Thank you. This is probably why I make it to 97, is probably because of AquaCure. That's what I'm saying now.
Man, so like when you get to that year, you're just going to be like, all right,
it's time to go. I was
peace.
Told.
Any psychics out there, please just don't let me know. I like surprises.
Yeah. I was never going to intentionally find out, but I did a psychic reading with Robert Lindsey Milne, who's a good friend now, and he's a super skilled, amazing psychic. It's so funny. My whole life I've been like, yeah, most of these people are bullshit, and I had my own experiences and my own stuff, but I knew I didn't run around telling everyone around about it all the time. So people who did, I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. And a lot of them you can see through, and you can tell they're doing cold reading or different things like that. And then now in the past few years, I've met so many people who have like the real deal, who are like deeply spiritually connected and absolutely accurate and just so skilled. And he's one of them. And so now I feel like I'm surrounded by all these people who have all these amazing spiritual skills that are not bullshit. And he just popped it in there. Yeah. He was just like, yep. And you're going to live to 97. I was like, oh, okay. That's a really, really long time away. That's like 56 years away. Am I 41? How old am I? God, I don't know what's going on. I think I'm 40. Yeah, that's 57 years away.
Well, my experience with psychic stuff is just kind of, it's so weird and murky. I don't know if it has to do with my Neptune placement or what, but when I know something, I don't know why I know it, but I've gotten really good at knowing that I do know it. And that's coming from using the tuning forks. Information will just pop into my head while I'm sweeping around in their field. And at first I really resisted it. And I was like, there's no reason I should know this. And it's probably wrong, but I'm nervous to tell them, but I'm going to just blurt it out there. Like, I think your grandma's telling me this. And then it's like right every time. So I've learned how to just go with it. And I bring that up because I know that you recently acquired a bigger set of tuning forks. And I was wondering how that's going. Like what kind of process are you doing with those? Are you enjoying that?
I love it. It's amazing. I read a book that you suggested by Eileen Day McCusick, and she doesn't go through, she goes through the 174 one, which I already got with that book and like started using for people for general tunings. And so she doesn't go into like the solfeggio or what each fork is for, how to use it or anything, right? So I got this new solfeggio set, and I'd already been using the 174 one for general tunings for people, and I started using this just intuitively. I'd just pick up the fork and be like, what do you want to do for this person? And then I would just feel and understand what it was doing and then do it. And exactly like you're talking about, you know, I'd receive images or understandings or feelings or whatnot, and I'd watch, you know, stuff released from these people. None of them are near me. They're all around the world. You know, it's not like I'm actually watching them. I'm seeing them from my mind's eye. And amazing things that, like you said, you just would never have known otherwise. And what's striking to me is that everybody's so different. And it's the same when I do healing ceremonies. It's the same when I do readings. It's the same with everything, that people are so different in like what they came for, what they think they came for, what they actually came for are different. And then I feel like what they came for and their trust in it is the key factor in how much they get out of it. Because so I was guided to offer 15-minute sessions and also this little 3-card tarot reading thing, right? And both of them, I'm like, those are not enough. They're too small. I don't even know why I'm offering these to people. They're going to get them and they're going to be disappointed they didn't get more and whatever. But I was like, well, you know, some people can't afford the other things, and so I'll just do it. I was guided to do it. I trust my guidance, so I did it. And I'm so shocked. Some people will get as much out of a 15-minute tuning session as they do out of the full hour with the solfeggio set. And I'm like, I can't control that. Like, that's you. You came, your soul was like, all right, let's do this, you know, and the forks were like ready, and you know, things were just in line for that to happen. And then other people come, they're very much untrusting of it. They're not sure about it. They're not really quite ready. Not as much happens, even if you do a full hour with the whole set. And it's just so different. Everybody is so different. But I love it. I love doing it. I love that people can get this huge, incredible release and relief and transformation just from this simple thing. It's amazing. I just have the problem that people ask me like, well, what's going to happen? And I'm like, I mean, we'll find out. I don't know. I'm not that kind of psychic.
I love how you just really tap into the energy of the moment. I feel that that's kind of how I do it, but I have also almost a surgical process that keeps getting more and more advanced. I wouldn't say like intricate necessarily because it's simple, but it does evolve over time. And like healer to healer, have you ever tried out using dowsing rods in Helix ceremonies?
No, but you mentioned that before, and when you did, I was like, I need some, and I didn't ever get any. And wait, don't you sell them?
No, I should. They're probably really easy to make. You just need like a copper rod that's bent at 90 degrees so that one is fifth shaped and then a long end. And you get some wooden beads. They need to be something conductive and not like plastic. And that the beads are on the handle side, and then they can just wave around. And how I use it, and this could maybe come in handy for you, it really speeds up the process of figuring out where the things are at, because I just go through each chakra and I'm just like, okay, their body's right here on the table. I start 10 feet away and I walk towards it, and I imagine their body being on the table, and I think root chakra. Maybe I even like sort of chant it. And then when I hit the edge of what size that field is, the forks go whoop, or the rods just open up. And it really does facilitate a quicker diagnostic type of deal. And anybody can use L rods. It's just your body's intelligence is electrically opening and closing the rods as a yes or no that gives you're talking to yourself and to the other person's body through the ether. It's like so cool. And I realized then later that not only can I use that to figure out like where to start, but also to know how well I did. So now whenever I'm finished like in one energy center, because I do like hour-long sessions, I just double check my work and I find out whether or not it needs a little more oomph. If it needs more oomph, maybe throw in some affirmations for them to state that relate to the issue that you're getting into, or maybe I use my voice and tone the same tone as the forks to like really ooh. But it's fun. Like I really love this path, and I encourage everybody to explore the energy healing arts and do it with the full, like almost contractual intention of it's not really up to me. I'm a vessel for higher self and for source to make this happen. And then to also follow up everything you're doing with like super grounding practices, go sit under a tree, you know, do what you got to do. That's a whole nother part of it. Maybe we should talk about grounding, because we could never talk about energetic hygiene enough.
I know. even people go through Brighter You and then like a few months later like telling me things and I'm like, oh, you forgot rule 1. I have to remember. Yeah, grounding is so important. No, it's also interesting when we're talking about it, we do our tuning for healing so differently, like so differently. But that's what I love too about all these things, and this is what I like to encourage in my students or in anybody is like you gotta just try things and you gotta find your way of doing it, because it might not be exactly like anyone else, right? There was actually a really beautiful part in the Key of Transformational Healing that came through that was like, you know, have teachers, have guides, have people who inspire you and follow them or whatever, but don't actually follow them. Like, who is your teacher? There is no better teacher than the universe. There's nothing that knows you. There's no one who knows you and exactly how you receive energy or give it out again or anything, or how you understand things, right? And this is why I also talk about, people are like, oh, you know, this thing means this. If you see a bear, it means this. And I'm like, well, if I see a bear, it's different. It actually means something different to me than if Chance sees a bear, you know, in our third eye, right? That's going to be a different meaning to you. Maybe it'll be similar. It'll be by chance, though, if it's similar, right? By chance. It'll be most likely something different. And then the way it looks, the type of fucking color it has, or how thick its fur is, or if it's something on its back, or what, all these different things could be happening that could inform you that, like, not only does it mean something different to me, but because of how I saw it, it actually represents this totally other thing. The way that things come through to us is coming through our lens and our lived experience and our own internal, like, storage of symbolic material, and it's different for everyone. So there's a million beautiful, wonderful teachers, and none of them is going to be as perfect as your own heart, your own internal guidance, and the universe's interaction with you.
Yeah, I was talking to Dakota, who I already mentioned earlier today, and I brought up how, like, the actual origin story, superhero origin story for me in energy healing was just going to big music festivals and there being a bunch of people having a hard time around me and me figuring out
like,
the best way to, like, bring them back.
Let me help you. Yeah.
Yeah, and all that, just intuiting a lot of stuff out of that, and also playing with crystals big time. Yeah. Unlocked all kinds of ideas. And so I guess my question out of that is, where did, you know, this begin for you? Where did you first start to dabble in trying to give people a hand energetically, and where did that lead you? And who is this guy?
What? Who's that guy?
I'm in your kitchen right now.
He's literally in my kitchen right now.
I realize I need to get earbuds like you guys have, because I, even like for work and shit, I like have to do meetings with these on, and like everyone else apparently has figured out how to not wear.
No, mine are big. I just have all this hair.
Oh, well, fuck. All right, we're cool then. Everybody looks natural and cool, and I'm just like, haha, I've got like a duct tape Beats by Dre that I like probably stole from somewhere once.
No, I'm hoping that someone gives me headphones for my birthday, because these guys, they braid like a motherfucker. They just like twist themselves up, and I'm always just like, it's literally, people think I have like posture problems or something wrong with my spine, because I'm always just like slightly tilted because these things are yanking on my head. So I need some new ones. Anybody out there want to sponsor me?
I want the big ones, and so I went to find just the earbuds without a microphone on it, because I have a microphone already, and I didn't want them to battle for supremacy. And the guy like was so confused. He was like, "Well, there's all of these here," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I want one without a mic." He's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because I want it to not have to like interact. I don't want to have to choose mics. I just want one mic plugged into my computer." And he's like, "Just get one of these and just don't use that mic." I'm like, Jesus, I just want a pair of headphones that are tiny and small, not huge, and don't have a microphone. He's like, "I don't think that exists." Like, it has to exist. So I finally found these. These are like 5 years old now.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. I do have earbuds and a really nice mic, which I never use at all. That's the whole reason you have that mic. That was like my old mic. And now I don't even, I have this nice one. It just sits under my desk. It's in like a Pulp Fiction, like briefcase thing. I need to like rig it up so where it glows when I open it.
So it's like a MacGuffin in film slang, but it's a mic guffin.
There you go. Exactly.
The MacGuffin is the magical object in a film that everyone is trying to get, and for whatever reason will save the day or end the world. Just for anyone out there that wants the film terminology.
It's like Pandora's box.
It's crazy. I can hear our heater in your microphone.
In mine?
Your gain is up too high.
I had to, because otherwise things were too quiet. I can hear it in yours, so I mean, we're even.
Yeah, it's really you, Johnny.
Oh, I'm just farting constantly. It's really weird. It's a weird steady flow.
Constant.
The off-gassing.
It's rad because I've been sitting in the window with the, AquaCure on, and you just look like an invalid. And so everyone like walking by or driving by is probably like, oh, that poor girl is dying now.
Yeah, but they've seen us dance before. So they pretty much already think that like something's dreadfully fucking wrong with us.
Like they have chickens, they talk to them. I don't know, they're weird.
I get all embarrassed. I'm out there like going to close in the chickens at night, and I'm like fucking talking to them, and I have to like look around because there's an apartment building right next to our place, and we have a chain link fence. So I know someone over there is just laughing their ass off constantly at like my big ass like talking baby talk to chickens and shit. And like,
do you remember when there was like a guy across the street? He just so happened to be black. I don't think we're supposed to say that anymore for some reason, but I love.
It's okay if you capitalize the B.
Oh, okay, but he was black, and he would come out. It was like every day for some reason for a while. I would be standing there. My chickens are actually like in this kind of valley. There's like some shrubs, and they're behind the shrubs closer to me and under a. You can't see them very well is my point, but I could see them, and I stand there and stare at them because I'm a weirdo, and I also am like paranoid that hawks are going to come in, so like I'm always near them if they're out. So I'm standing there staring at them, but I get sick of staring at them, so I look around, and he's like walking out, and I'm just like looking at him, and I realize like to him, I'm just standing in my yard staring at him, not doing anything, like every day for like a week, and I'm like, oh my God, he thinks I'm psychotic probably, like. Yeah, I wanted to be like, I have chickens. They're right here. But then that's even weirder to just like
right.
that you have chickens. So, yeah, it was a little awkward.
How those chickens doing?
Oh, they're so good.
They're good. They're laying eggs again. So
yeah,
they stopped. They were molting, which I didn't know what that was, but they shed their feathers and then grow new feathers. And while they're doing that, they don't lay eggs. And then they look really weird too. And like, lanky and weak and scruffy and diseased. It's pretty fun. That's amazing.
This was a meme shared in the call-in line from Legs. My parents in their 30s. Let's buy a house. Me in my 30s. Another chapter in Revelation is happening today.
It's like haggard as fuck.
I gotta read it for the audio-only listeners, but wow. I gotta go ahead and share the other two memes in here. This is another good one.
That is exactly it. That's exactly it.
I'm a healer, but don't push me, yo. And one more. That is a gross abuse of your powers, everybody. Yeah, but speaking of superpowers, we're gonna maybe get into some Lindsey superhero origin story.
Yeah, I don't know how to even talk about it. I actually just had to write my sort of summary of my path to healership or whatever today for this woman who I work with, and she needs it for various things, and so I was like, okay. She's like, just a couple paragraphs or so, and I'm like, man, how do I summarize this in a couple paragraphs? So it was challenging, but it was really beautiful because I got to actually look at like what was the progression overall, like how did I get here. And I was just reflecting on when I was really, really little, I used to just wander around by myself outside and learn things and know things. And I just thought they were my thoughts, and other people thought I was very gifted and intelligent. And I don't think I'm not intelligent, but I think that part of what is like gifted or intelligent about me was that I was just being like told things all of the time. And so I had imaginary friends, and they would sometimes share things, but it wasn't even that obvious. It was just, I would just understand. I would just be talking to myself and wandering around, and I would just understand things about the world. So I actually think I've always been being informed by my guides and allies of things. It's kind of like what you were describing, Chance, where you just like know all of a sudden a thing, and you're like, I just know that I know this now. And so I think it's always been happening. When I was a teenager, I started having a lot of UFO and what people would call UFO encounters and experiences with those types of entities too. I also telepathically communicated with them, learned a lot from them, and started having just crazy synchronistic experiences that led me to further and further understandings and further understandings of my abilities as well. And then I also had demonic attacks and attachments as I started to get into tarot when I was very young, like 14, 15, and 16. So I had to learn how to get rid of demonic attachments. And it's almost like my life just kind of forced me into it. And so when I say I was called to do this, that's what I mean, is I never, ever, ever set out to do any of this. I've always wanted to help people, always. That has always been my primary goal in life, is like, let's make this place better and not worse. It's a pretty shitty place, but it's got some really nice attributes. Let's move closer to those and like get away from all the shittiness. And so that's when I became a teacher, you know, but the other side of it, I never looked to do. I never looked to become more psychic or to have experiences with UFOs or entities or any of this stuff at all. And the other thing that really is even more, you know, what forced me onto this path, aside from demonic attacks that I had to learn how to heal myself from, and negative entities that I had to learn how to keep out, was random shamans would just find me and do healings on me and teach me. And that, you know, the weirdest one was when I was walking down the street in Ecuador and a random Taita just picked me out of a crowd of people and was like, you have to come up here. You have to come like do this. And I didn't even speak his language. Luckily I was with someone who did, and they came with me and translated for us. And he just performed an incredible ceremony on me and taught me a bunch of stuff. So things like that just happened to me, and I just kind of forced into it. And so I've just followed that guidance more and more, and it has led me to start eventually offering services to people and healings to people and things to people more generally. But when you were talking about the festival thing and wanting to help people, I also was always unintentionally the trip mother, which before I even understood that that was a title that people had, or, you know, the thing that people did, I was just constantly like, and I've done a lot of acid and mushrooms, like over 300 times have I dropped acid. And so every single one of those times I was the trip mother for everyone, just by default. I just knew how to help people feel better. And actually being on acid a lot was one of the things that showed me how psychic I was, because I would start talking to people and responding to them and they would freak out and be like, what? Like, I didn't even say that out loud. I'm like, yeah, you did. They're like, no. And everyone else around was like, no, they didn't. And I'm like, oh, I would just be responding to their thoughts. And so I had to stop doing acid with other people because it was like too much for them, actually, to like have me just be in their head.
Yeah, I only done it maybe like I think you've done it 30 times more than me, mathematically speaking. But it's I definitely feel you there. You really, we're not here recommending people do or don't do it. It's entirely possible to open the doors without those type of substances, but way more recommended to, if substances are involved in your path, take a ceremonial approach and bring a very powerful intention to it, and bring the most healed self you can to the substance before you do it, instead of being like, this is going to fix me. And
if you ever have a negative time, let the emotion out and go put it in the ground to bring it back to grounding.
Yeah, that's so real. So real. We got
I
another
seriously
meme.
will, like, if I even start to feel slightly bad, I'll just go out and like lay on the ground. I'm like, all right, not leaving here until this feels better.
Yeah, it's like animal instinct. Johnny does that a lot, I bet.
All the time.
He's a pure animal.
I don't know if you know, it's always sunny in Philadelphia, but I play night crawlers a lot by myself in the backyard.
Night crawlers.
Someone somewhere knows what I'm talking about. That shit was funny. Yeah, you guys are fucking drug addicts and awful, and I'm gonna go. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
no, I did acid one time. Someone kind of talked me into it. A lot of my friends did it. And one of my good friends always did acid like before he had died. And so like I kind of hit this point when he like died when I was like 17, where I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to try everything now, because you only live once. But I did acid once when I lived in Illinois in a college town. And I was like, I'm not even feeling this shit. I took like 3 hits. And I was like, I'm not even feeling it. And this dude was like, well, take 6 more then. And I was like, fuck yeah, like, let's do it. So I took like 9 hits. The only time I did acid, I rapped at a black frat party, and I wandered the entire town of Bloomington Normal and had breakfast at Denny's with some dudes from Trinidad. And it was overall, it was pretty fun. The only thing that sucked is I tripped with like a complete dipshit, and he was gone most of the night. So I was just wandering by myself. So I've never heard of a trip mother. And I'm like, if anyone else was with me experiencing it with me, I probably would have done it again. But I remember just kind of being like, I don't know, man, this is a little bit too fast pace of thinking for me. Like, I'm already thinking fast all the time and overthinking. And 9 hits probably wasn't the smartest thing for the first time. Or the last time, I guess. But it wasn't horrible. There was like maybe a few minutes at the beginning after I was like, this shit isn't hitting at all. And then I took the rest. There was like a moment where I was like laying in my roommate's bed, like sweating, had like the covers over my head. And I was just like, holy shit. And I experienced like all of Revelations. And I looked at the clock because I was like, fuck, it's got to have been like 6 hours later. And it was like 2 minutes later. And I was like, what the fuck is this shit? I was like begging my friend to drive me around town because I was like, I just need information. I need like so much stuff. Because my brother and them, they would just like trip and sit around and watch TV and shit. And I'm like, I don't even know how you could do that. Like I wanted to like go join a soccer league and like learn how to play soccer. Like I could not fucking sit still. It was insane. But then once I like eased into it, it was kind of fun. But
you just wandered into a party of Black people and were like, hey, I'm gonna freestyle for you, and just like threw it down, and they were like, what the fuck, this white boy on acid just showed up and like freestyled like a
it was weird because that town was like pretty segregated, like self-segregated, and that was like so strange to me. Because I don't know, just knowing the friends I've always known my whole life, like I'm just like, people are cool and whatever. Like, so I just instantly, and that was like right when I was, I don't know, right before my arrogance of rapping, but I still liked rapping all the time. And I was just like, I was walking around and I was fucked up and I was trying to get into the party. And they're like, no, this is like our frat. Like you need to be in the frat. And I was like, I'm in your frat. And they're like, well, you're not. And I was like, why? They're like, well, you're not Black. Like it's this. And I was like, well, I am though. I was like, I got rhythm. I can rap. I can bust and shit. And they're like, what? So I just started rapping and they like let me go in. It was weird. I don't know how long I was there. A lot of the night was just flashes of shit. But yeah, that was interesting. That town was funny. That was before Eminem though, so like people really didn't believe you if you were like white. And if you look like this and shit, you're like, yeah, I rap. They're like, yeah, okay, go grow some corn.
Is that where you learned?
Yeah,
that's your origin story.
That's my origin story. Was
also your first time.
Yeah, exactly. I was picking corn in Nebraska. And the rap just hit me. I was struck by lightning and bitten by a sandworm. And suddenly I just started rapping like a fucking loser maniac.
He's a Quetzat Haderach. Or however you say that.
It's weird. I actually remember it was the Ghetto Boys. Stop me at any time. I'm extremely high. We went on some sort of road trip, and I remember being in Nebraska. That's fucking weird. I was in Nebraska with my brother. I think we were out there for a funeral with my family and stuff. And I was like, I think I was just like writing because of the Ghetto Boys and like Brother Lynch. I was like, dude, I'm gonna write like horror music, like horror raps. And my brother was kind of like gassing me, like, yeah, that shit is cool. Those raps are probably horrifyingly bad, but I think that's when
Isn't that the point?
Yeah, I think so. Like truly, like horrorcore is horrible hip hop, but I love a lot of it. But Lindsay,
the terror is in the cringe.
Yeah, right. Like, and there's a fine line. Like I kind of felt like Insane Clown Posse, I could never get into. I was like, dude, this is just too weird, and I like respect everything about their business acumen and their hustle and shit like that. And like
they were joking.
I think they were. I think they kind of were. Yeah, no, I think in a way they were, and then it like stuck.
They're like, whoops. that worked too well. Let's just keep going.
Right. Yeah, and like Necro and Isham and all those, like, I don't know. But like 666 Mafia, Brother Lynch and them, they were like on some dark shit, but it was like good. You're like, these people have like good vocabulary and great skills. Anyway, I'm sorry I decided to give you a weird rap rundown. No,
That's what you're here for.
Well,
That's why
actually,
we invite you places.
the last time I ever did acid was also at a frat house. Speaking of frat houses and acid, so either your first time involved a frat house, or my last time involved a frat house. That's kind of weird. We've never put that together.
that
Now
is,
the dimensions have aligned.
Connecting dots.
frat houses were fun. We used to go up to Boulder.
Time actually ever at a frat house ever in my life was that time.
That's the only time I actually got into one. Like the opposite thing happened. One
I've
time
never
we
been
went.
let into one. I tried a couple times.
I never wanted.
I
to
think
go.
if you have tits,
It just
that's
happened.
like.
Yeah, because I was with a bunch of girls, and somebody there was having sex.
One
with
time,
someone
a
else
group
there,
of
so
girls I
were
was
there.
with when I was like 19 wanted to go to a party at a frat house. They took me along. We got to the door. They're all going in, and the door people were like, "Everyone but you." And
Yeah.
the girls I was with were like, "See ya."
Oh,
Until they needed a ride home later, drunk. and
Yeah,
puked in my car.
exactly. Yes.
I can't remember if they puked in my car or peed in my car or both. It was the
Jesus.
last time.
That's toxic
worst.
femininity.
that actually
It's
is toxic
toxic.
femininity. That is true.
Mm.
Nived17 says, "Ask Yeti if you ever listen to any Sean Price."
Oh, yes. Yes.
One of our mutually favorite songs.
I have Lindsey into Sean Price. Not like the really crazy shit like Shut the Fuck Up Part 2 or any of that. But barbecue sauce and all that, yeah, Lindsay's a fan of
I'm like,
Sean Price.
"Yeah."
I've turned her into Sean Price. Sean Price is like, I don't even know how to explain. He's so simple but so complicated, so complex. Anyway, yes, I love Sean Price.
Oh, this is way out of my wheelhouse.
You'll have to
I'm
go
a
listen to.
type of guy.
You'll have to listen to. Oh my God, Construction Job.
Like, yeah, with him and copyright. That was, I think it was recorded before he died, but he, yeah, I fucking love that. I love the shit he says is just, I don't even know how you can be like simple and complex. It's like MF Doom and stuff. You're like, what the fuck? Like, anyway.
Can I give a random shout out to one of my favorite things ever?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you might be a little quiet due to proximity to your mic also. Is that
Well,
okay to
is that
point
better?
out?
Yes.
I think
So I
so.
sit over here.
I can hear your Scottish Rite music.
Oh, I'll turn that off too. So I had a woman on. I am totally blanking on her name right now. She's really awesome. Anyway, she was talking about rose and how the rose scent can bring back memories. And I don't know why, having already recovered enough of my own memories of this life and past lives, that I went into deep rose acquisition. But someone who listens to and loves Rogue Ways sent me all of this homemade rose scented stuff that has actual rose essential oils. All of these things are like 3 or 4 ingredients each, and they're amazing. And I don't just say that just because someone sends me something. I started using these like a month ago when she sent them to me, and everything about them is rad. My skin is the best it's ever been. And Johnny even uses it because he gets headaches a lot, and she has this CBD headache cream. And we have a bunch of CBD headache cream, and none of it works as good as this, he says. So this is from someone who actually suffers using this.
It's true. I get tension headaches a lot from drawing. I have to like work on my posture, but
It's so
that
good.
that stuff works really good. Like some CBD cream works pretty good, but that works 100% of the time, and I honestly didn't believe it.
Is there a
Like,
place where
she's
people can find that?
Yeah, it's at holistisemily.com. You probably can't see that here, but it's holistic, 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 Emily, EMILY.com. And she also, these are my 3 favorite things. I just wanted to share with you because I really want people to get them because she's awesome and this stuff is awesome. She also has rose tallow cream. And tallow, of course, is from the bones of animals. So some people, like if you're vegan or something, you might not like this, but it's actually the best possible thing you can use in soaps and creams. It's so awesome. This is my favorite thing I've ever had in my life as far as creams go. I use it all the time on my extra dry skin areas. And my other favorite thing is the Rose Anti-Aging Eye Cream. I don't really care about the anti-aging part. I don't even know if I believe that, but it's just the best cream I've ever used on my face before. So holistiCemily.com. I love it. Everything she makes is amazing. She's rad. Go check it out. Highly suggest it. Sorry to just hijack the show. I was just like, I want to shout her out.
Not to be outdone, I'm selling empty jars that I used to have weed in.
They smell really
they're
good.
$50 a pop. I'll mail them to you. Might be a little bit of residue in there, so hit me up. This one in particular,
you don't have to light on fire.
This one in particular is rhubarb and ginger jam. Lindsay must have bought that.
We're gonna be rich. You're a genius.
Selling jars, and I might even capture a bar in there. Just say one wrap, seal it up. Sorry. Again,
can you find that on your OnlyFans?
That is on my OnlyFans. That's what I've just been sealing wraps in empty weed jars. I'm not making 50,000 each like that fart girl, but
you got to go there.
Yeah.
Did you hear about her that like she was selling farts and she had to go to the hospital because she ate too many beans in one day?
Yes. Oh, that reminded me of. This is so weird because like my really gangsta friend he was into this dude called LA Beast, who's probably famous. Someone has to know who he is. But I remember we were watching some of those videos and he did one where he was trying to eat I want to say 50 heads of garlic. He just does all these stupid frat boy challenges and shit. And he was just eating raw garlic.
Anagram for each other.
There you go. It kind of makes sense, really, because
brotherly farts.
But anyway, yeah, he ate 2 or 3 heads of raw garlic, and then he had to stop recording and go to the hospital. And it's yeah, dude, I don't know. It's weird.
I had a moment where I didn't know the difference between cloves and heads of garlic. So there was a recipe that called for 1 clove of garlic, and I thought it meant a head of garlic. And so I put a whole head of garlic in. As eating it, I was like, fuck, this is really intense and spicy. But I mean, that's what it was called for. So I guess I'll never make this recipe again. But I have to eat it because I'm ridiculously poor and I don't have food. So this is my only food. So I ate it. And for the next 3 days, literally everywhere I went, people were like, what smells like garlic? And I was like, I don't know. And then years later, someone was like, yeah, if you eat enough garlic, you smell like garlic. I was like, oh, that was me all those days ago, all those years ago. Yeah, I can be really, really dumb sometimes.
That was a good trick, though, for when I was an alcoholic. If I drove somewhere, again, don't do this at home, but I would just eat a lot of garlic because vodka's the least. I mean, I probably smelled like a fucking still, but garlic offset it in a way, or at least my theory was, and that was my other theory, is if I chase my vodka with water, I'm kind of healthy.
I'm hydrated.
But yeah, I think garlic is a good trick if you're a piece of shit. Just eat it, and then no one knows.
If you're a piece of shit, eat garlic.
Dakota in the chat wants to know about your rise to power as an artist. What's your drawing origin story?
Again, I was struck by lightning. No, I really don't know. I've been drawing since I was 2, supposedly. So I've been drawing almost every day for 41 years. That I don't care who you are, that kind of muscle memory is you're going to be good at something. I wish I was playing the piano or something. I was actually given an organ by my grandmother when I was 7, but Thundercats.
Which organ? Liver, better. Kidney?
2 kidneys and a spleen. It was really weird. My grandma was a hitman for the mafia. But yeah, she bought me this nice organ, and I bet it was expensive as fuck, and I hated it. I was like, this is stupid. And now I'm God damn it, I'm making beats. Wish I would learn. I'm Rain Man, just hitting buttons. It's fun.
Lindsay, I want to know about some of the recent stuff you've done on your shows. What has blown your mind recently the guests have brought to the table?
George Wiseman has been the coolest, honestly. But that's because I have been suffering for so long. And I'm so happy to be suffering less. But that was really, really great. Let's see. I also had Ahmed Abdul Karim Hakim, on, and we talked a lot about the spirit of the breath and some various aspects of Saudi Arabian and Arabic culture, including the Quran and other things, and his own path, and being exposed to he was really young when 9/11 happened, and he was exposed to some of the really radicalization of some of the people over there. So that was interesting to hear about as well. Let me see, I'm scrolling. Phoenix Aurelius is always amazing to have on. Every time he comes on, he blows my mind. Every single time. Like, he's been on the show, I want to say, like 10 times. And every single time I'm like, man, what are we even going to talk about? And then we just talk for 2 hours, and every time I'm like, wow, that was amazing. So Phoenix
I
is
have an
always
email
cool.
mid-draft to him to finally connect with him for a show.
Oh yeah, he would love to come on. You're an awesome host, and you two will be so cool together. I loved doing big brained hominids with Edward Spencer, Dr. Edward Spencer, and I should reach out to him and see how he's doing. And then, of course, one of my favorite humans in the universe is Foster Gamble, and so having him back on is a delight. I'm always so impressed that he's just such a beautiful human being, and he's done so much good for the whole world, and he just keeps going, and he never stops, and I just appreciate him so much.
Yeah, Foster made the Thrive documentaries that maybe people have seen, at least the first one. I remember how big the first one got before there was such a clampdown on that type of information online. And I caught that newest one with him, and I was definitely inspired by it. I loved some of the things he said. Have wound up in my own, arsenal of things to say that make me sound super smart and spiritual.
You are super smart and spiritual.
No, but really, he pointed out just like, that your cells, he pointed out the greatest evidence for a transcendent soul ever, which is that your cells regenerate and are replaced every 7 years, but you were still there the whole time.
You know what? That was also, I know that we've, like, that is a thing that people have maybe heard of or known for like a while, but I read this book, this beautiful book, The 7 Mysteries of Life by Guy Murchie. It's a pretty fatty tome. It's fucking amazing. It is the best book. He writes like a fucking maniac. Like, there is no better writer I've ever read in my life besides this guy. So he is tied for first with The Neverending Story, which has never been displaced and never will be. Yeah, no, I'm like, this is a big deal for me. Like, this book, I couldn't recommend it enough. One of my favorite things about him is he draws too. Can you even
down?
There it is.
That's not the best drawing because
it's raindrop. Yeah,
he draws circles like a motherfucker.
He draws all in pointillism.
Wow.
All his chapters, which are all about, this is all about the history of life and the universe and where it's going, and every aspect of it, from biology to philosophy to everything. And literally, I think you could read this book instead of taking college, and you would be more educated. It in itself is a course in writing. This is literally the best writing I've ever seen in my life. I say it for very specific reasons. And then it also has art in it, and then it also has all sciences in it. Not just a summary. Like, he goes into the axioms of each and like how they interconnect with each other, and it's fucking amazing. It took me like a year to read it because holy shit, it's like super dense, but it's also beautifully written. My whole point is that he also talked about that. He's like, what even are we then? If we're not this physical body, because we know we're not, because of that exact same reason, then what are we? We don't know. And that's one of the 7 mysteries that he talks about, is this, consciousness or whatever it is that we are. And I read this, and then like later that day, I talked to Foster Gamble, and he said the same thing. I'm like, okay, I get it, God. Like, come on, guy.
What are some of the other mysteries of life in there?
Oh gosh, let me tell you.
That's what I want.
Oh, and every one of the mysteries has a symbol. So there's 7 symbols. 7. And that's awesome.
I think I saw time in there.
Check this out. Okay. Every section has the chapter title, Realm of the Vegetable, section titles, Leaves, and every page has a summary of the main ideas of those 2 pages.
Really easy to skim for a certain topic then.
Exactly. And that's how every book should be written. You should be able to skim it and know what's going on. every page has a summary in the title. That blew my mind. Then I got to the end. When I get done with a book like this, I usually summarize it in a poem. And so I got done with this book and I was like, all right, I'm going to get ready. I'm going to write my poems. Oh, look, he has a summary of the book in poems. And there's 7 poems. And I'm like, you motherfucker, you already did it.
Wow, it's like made for you.
Life. Yeah, literally. I was like, am I this guy? Did I write this book, die, and then get reborn as Lindsey? Because this is like my book. If I was much more sciencey than I am now. I love science, but I don't have he has like the command of facts that I do not have. So the 7 mysteries of life are abstraction, interrelation, omnipresence, polarity. It's very hermetic, and I don't know if it's accidental or not. Transcendence, germination, and divinity. Those are the 7 mysteries, and he goes through everything. You could look at the index, and the index would blow your mind. Like, this book is fucking amazing. I just found it in a thrift store, or in a used bookstore that tried to kick me out for not wearing a mask.
Oh, is that where you got that? Was out here at that store? Yeah. Oh, no shit. Good job.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but I literally was just like wandering around in circles, and I just looked up and saw it and grabbed it and was like, this book.
I just thought it was funny because you basically bought a gift certificate when lockdowns happened to keep them afloat. Then you bought another one, and then you went to use it, and they were not going to let you come in with the mask. But then you were like, well, I have a gift certificate, and you could see that he was like, well, I can't kick her out because he is a nice man. I think he just wanted to like, but it was just funny. So he's like, you guys can come in here or whatever. And then when like another customer came in, he warned them like there was some sort of yeah. He's like, like
just a couple of zombies in the back. Just don't let it bite you. It'll be okay.
That lady over there has herpes. Like, wow, this got weird. But no, it was just like kind of a nice warning. He's like, I'm allowing people without masks in here. If you're uncomfortable with that, like you can wait outside and come back or whatever. And I was like, that's kind of cool considering.
He's pretty cool about it considering everything.
But yeah. Anyway, I will go off on a tangent about that. I just think it's funny. I like the whole time I just likened it to the glasses in Big Daddy, the sunglasses that make the kid feel comfortable. Like it's just a complete superstition. He's like, when you put these glasses on, nobody can see you and you don't have to be embarrassed. It's like, if you put this on your face, you're safe and invincible. So, and everybody believed it. So I'm like, well, fuck. I can sell jars now.
My mask protects you. How does it make me invincible?
It's a very strange symbiotic relationship.
It depends on the situation and who you're talking to and what point you're trying to make, whether it protects you or the other person.
Oh, okay. But it also supports the Ukraine too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Only if you magic marker it light blue and yellow, though.
Okay.
And if you don't, you should be shot and killed. So
I have
Ukrainians need your help with highlighters on that.
I have a statue of the Ukrainian prince. He's like blue and he's yellow and light blue. He's well-meaning. It's pretty cool. I found a woman that lets me have fucking toys.
Out in the open near the kitchen and everything.
Yeah. It was weird when her mom came to visit. I was like, should I take all this shit down? This is pretty fucking like Arrested Development. Like, but her mom was polite about it. She probably like went home and wrote.
So
she wrote like a weird column for McCall's magazine. Is McCall's magazine still a thing? Did I just date myself?
Probably.
The Ward's catalog, the Sears catalog.
Don't do what Clint just said. Do not use spray paint on a mask and then wear it.
And accepted.
It works.
Hey, so there's another meme in the chat on the call-in line from Kaylee. She says you guys are the best apocalypse partners. Dating isn't just dating anymore. You're picking your potential apocalypse partner, so choose wisely.
It's true.
What skill sets do you each cover for each other?
I've actually been trying to create my off-grid farm since I was like 16. I'd be like looking online at the MLS listings, and I'm like, okay, a house with this acreage is this much. I'm going to get my teaching degree in this year, and then I'm going to make this much money, and I can save this much. And so by this year, I'll have this property, and then I can like build a little bunker, have an underground storage system. Like, none of that has ever happened. It's been like 30 years since then, and here I am, still not having I have chickens though.
I was gonna say, you got the chickens.
Yeah.
Done well. We can get 2 eggs a day, which basically mean like my skill set is Lindsey can fucking shoot me and eat me for like at least 2 months. There's at least 2 months worth of meat on my body. So
wouldn't it be better if she just cut off one part at a time but kept you alive so you stayed fresh?
that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Like
That's actually, yeah. There you go.
Yeah. My skill set is I own a Berkey filter and bullets and guns.
She could live off of you a really long time, though. She's dramatically smaller than you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. That's literally what I brought to the table.
I
If
can
stuff
rap.
Exactly. No, it's sad because I'm so fucking domesticated. If the apocalypse happened, I don't even know what would go down. Luckily, a lot of people I know have a shitload of guns and stuff. But I mean, is that gonna even help? Like, you know, I mean, I don't know. If it was like a full-on apocalyptic scenario, I guess my skill set would be convincing everyone to fucking work together. Like maybe with a baseball bat, but it would be convincing them. I would start nicely. And because I actually Lindsey made a good point, because every bit of media about the apocalypse or society collapsing, it's like everyone's after everyone and it's every man for themselves and stuff. And she was like, I don't think it would be like that at all. I think we would all find a way to like make communities and make stuff work and stuff, because it is kind of true.
That's what we've always done. Every single time we've ever had any disaster as humans, that's what we've done. We've like, okay, let's help each other out here.
And just in day-to-day life, most people aren't really looking to go out and fight and be violent and shit. Like, I learned that young. One of my friends who was like really violent.
So it's not like TV.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be. Because like, what would you really gain? Like,
the whole point of TV is worldview poisoning, worldview warfare.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's like what's funny now is it's not really funny, but I like lost a friend last week because I said, I don't know enough about the conflict over there to even like pick sides or say anything about it. And I think you're kind of boring if that's like exciting for you to talk about. And he was like, how could you not side with Ukraine and this? And I'm like, dude, because it doesn't even, yeah, I'm like, it doesn't even affect me really. And then like, he somehow brought like Trump and COVID into it. And I'm like, this is a war. Like, why are we talking? Yeah. Like, I'm like, all of these events have been put into your head as like important. I'm like, conflicts happen all around the world and they hardly ever affected me. Like, it's not something I need. I don't know. There's some team sport shit going on right now.
Boomer book.
Yeah.
And so we don't see it, and so we don't know. That's the thing too. If you bring it up, if you're like, well, I mean, what about Yemen, for example? What about the decades of Yemen just being bombed to shit by us and Saudi and whatever? People are like, oh, like they don't have an answer because they've never actually thought about it because the news didn't tell them to think about it. So that's all it comes down to. They can't think.
It is weird. Because you used to be able to just be like, I'm anti-war and I don't have a stance, and people will be like, yeah, word, whatever. Like, I think that's somewhat grown of me to be like, I don't really know shit about it, and I don't really care to spend my energy thinking about it because it doesn't affect me in any way. And then to have them be like, like, if you don't support Ukraine and wear light blue and yellow for 2 months, you're an asshole and a monster and a Nazi. And it's like, well, that's me. That's totally me. I'm the dude who sent you free art, helped you get out of alcoholism for free, like spend all this time helping you, but I'm the asshole here. Like, you're going to get rid of like an actual, tangible, real life friend over something Tucker Carlson or Rachel Maddow told you to think. That seems pretty fucking stupid, but
Yeah, and then a year will go by or something, and he'll be like, "So, what do you think about the Dodgers or whatever people talk about?" Like, okay.
Lindsay's bad at humaning.
Things that humans say now.
You know, the Dodgers and stuff, and football guy. What?
Did you see the sports ball the other night there?
Right. I don't even know what I wrote today about myself, but I was like, I read that like I'm an alien talking about someone else. Like, I should probably, sound like what this is, me talking about myself. But, Gordy.
I sent Gordy a link. Maybe you want to pop in and say hi.
Pop in and say hi.
He better.
Hey, Gordy, this is your sign from the universe.
Yeah, it is.
Dakota put this in the call-in line. Good one there, buddy. I love when people share stuff in the call-in line. You can even put voicemails,
Yeah.
ask questions.
It's pretty dope.
More memes.
And come to One Day of Brightness. It's on March 27th, which is 2.5 weeks away from today. And it is a virtual event, so you can come from anywhere in the world. We have Catherine O'Shea, Phoenix Aurelius, and Noriana Diesel as our master teachers and practitioners presenting and guiding us this time in celebration of the spring equinox, which I did spell incorrectly in a very dyslexic way on the flyer, but nonetheless, we will be in alignment with the spring equinox. And I'm so excited. There's so many people who are already coming. I don't know how many tickets are left, but they do tend to go faster and faster the closer we get. So grab yours if you know you want to be there.
Oh, you can say more than that about One Day of Brightness.
Shameless plug.
Plug it up.
No, it really is amazing. Those days are like, it's funny because I'm like, I get all hyped for them, and I get all hyped for them, and I get all hyped from them, and then I expect to be like exhausted the day of because I've been so hyped and hyping and like whatnot for so long. And then the day of comes, and I'm just like, yeah. And then the whole day is just so exciting and energizing and like refueling. Like I'm not even drained afterwards, and I'm like, man, this is the coolest thing. Look how I spelled equinox. Eukinox.
That's a great flyer.
But it's kind of like that thing where you can scramble all the letters in a word, and as long as the first letter is right and the last letter is right and all the letters in between should be in the word but are just out of order, for some reason your brain just like autocorrects when you read it. You might not even notice it was misspelled.
That's true.
It's when you get your spiritual events from Wish. I'm just kidding. Sorry. No, that is funny. I can't believe I didn't even notice that when I saw that. I would have said something, but I was probably just dyslexic as usual.
So I know everyone on here except Noriana Diesel.
Noriana Diesel is Phoenix Aurelius's partner, and she is a somatics expert, and she also is a hypnotherapist, and she is exceptionally gifted. She just did a session with Gordy. If he wants to share it, he might want to. I'm not sure.
He's hanging out with his wife. Boo, family. Internet's way better, buddy.
I know he shared it before on Weaving Spiders or something, so I don't feel bad.
Yes, he did.
Okay, yeah, so I won't feel bad mentioning it at least, but she did a regression therapy with him, and he went back to a previous life, and I was there, and I think some of you were there. I don't really remember. I think both of you were also there.
I was a rabbit.
I was a rabbit.
I don't know.
I
am going to work on something I need to get finished, but I wanted to hop in and say hi and hang out because it feels like that night in Castle Rock when we were all hanging out under the band.
I was just thinking of that
band. It was the band. I don't remember. I know it was Wind. Wind kicked up, and then that guy who may have been a secret agent, who I thought was my best friend, he just like disappeared, and I don't even know if that guy was real. But
cool.
Yeah, he was super cool.
He was in the chat sometimes for a while, but yeah, I don't remember if we ever saw him again.
We haven't done really good at keeping in touch with Colorado folk and hanging out, but we also don't hang out or do anything.
Leave the house.
But yeah, no, I wanted to hop in and say hi, and I'll stop fucking up the serious talk. I feel like you guys are doing some serious shit, and I come in here and I just start selling jars and telling fart jokes, like
That's
the
all we
Kevin
want.
Smith.
That's all anybody really wants.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
It's the way to be. But I love y'all. I'll keep listening as I work on what I got to work on, and I'll be talking
I
to you
like you too, Jez.
soon.
He just leaves. That was a reference to Peep Show, which is one of his favorite shows.
We're getting
One
more
of them says,
memes.
I love you, and the other one's like, I like you too.
It's a real nice tinfoil afro there.
Dude, that's amazing. That would be the most fun Halloween costume you could ever wear. If you could make that in a way where it wouldn't like break your neck in half.
Also, I don't think you can get tinfoil anymore. It's like aluminum or nothing.
Literally, yeah. We call it tinfoil for some reason still, but we haven't had tinfoil since I was a kid. There's a reason for that. I'm sure
So-
it's not a good one.
Would totally be happy to take any callers. It's in there's an actual link in there. I know it can be scary to come on the internet, but this is a casual hangout. We're here for you guys in the community.
And
We
we're
want to have
two
this space to all connect together.
so we make it easy.
Yeah. You can tell us what you sell in jars or your
you
experience
were
at
at a
frat
past
houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to maybe back up, talk about the hypnotherapy thing. Have you experienced much hypnosis before?
I did it once, and I actually, my whole life, I was very positive that I could not be hypnotized because I knew that if I knew I couldn't be hypnotized, that I couldn't become accidentally hypnotized by people who are really good at hypnotists. So this is what I convinced myself of. And maybe it worked because a guy came into a place I worked once and we were just chatting and he's like, yeah, I'm a hypnotherapist. And I was like, oh, I can't be hypnotized. And he's like, yeah, right. That's not even a thing. And I was like, no, I can't be. Try it. And he tried it. And then he's like, oh, you actually can't be hypnotized. But he could have hypnotized me and I don't remember. But that's my understanding of what happened. So years later, I had a friend who was becoming a counselor, a therapist, basically. And she had to do a certain number of sessions with people, hypnotizing them because that was part of her certification. So she asked me if she could do it to me, and I was like, oh, I can't be hypnotized. She was like, well, I mean, if you don't trust the person or you don't want to be, you actually probably can't be hypnotized, but you can trust me and whatever. And I was like, I really don't want to be like out of it and unaware of what's happening and have someone else like mucking around in my brain. And she's like, oh, it's not like that at all. She's like, that's like a movie thing. Like, if that's possible, it's not possible by regular people, and you have to be in agreement to it. And if you do go that far under, it's because you agreed to it and whatever. And I'm like, maybe she's right. I don't know. So I finally let her do it, and it really was just like being in a deep meditation. I was aware the whole entire time, and I honestly, it didn't feel that effective to me. I'd be able to go way deeper on my own, basically. But I could see how it can be a super good modality for all sorts of things, like past life regressions and other stuff like that. I just know I do better alone than with anyone else watching me do anything.
That's really cool because I'm probably like a lot of people out there that just thought it's dangerous to be hypnotized, or maybe that's like the whole thing you want to avoid because there's so much happening that's attempting to hypnotize you all the time. Like the 60 hertz refresh rate on screens that hypnotically entrains your brain and all that. But you kind of give yourself a lack of credit whenever you believe that you could just be robotically controlled like in a movie. It's not like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I do think you can be so unaware and so like letting go of yourself or whatever that you could be very deeply hypnotized and not know it. And maybe even easier if you're on certain drugs. I know the TV hypnotizes all of us all the time in a way, right? But it's not actually hypnosis, but it is like getting into those deeper levels of brainwaves, which is like, again, I always tell myself like, yeah, but if I am ever watching TV, like in clips or in little bits or whatever here and there, I'm aware that that's what it's trying to do. And I'm like staying out of it therefore, but I don't know. That's at least what I tell myself. It's at least a good layer of protection, perhaps.
Illuminati in the Rockfin chat said, you are getting sleepy. And I almost yawned right then. So now I'm freaked out.
He's hypnotizing you.
Yeah, but one thing about hypnosis that's wild is there are some performing hypnotists out there that will bring someone on stage, hypnotize them, and they'll have like a piece of paper with something drawn on it or a word written on it, and they'll hold it behind their back where the subject cannot see it and never did have a chance to see it. And then they'll hypnotize them to convince them that the hypnosis therapist is invisible. And they're like, what is behind me? And they can tell you what it is.
Even people who don't believe that they have any sort of psychic abilities.
Right. So when you put that in context with the fact that people use hypnosis for past life regression, do you think that adds credibility to the veracity of information that people can pull out of that?
Absolutely. I think past life regression using hypnotherapy in the method that Noriana does it is probably the only reliable method outside of you having your own spontaneous or guided recall yourself. I think when you go to people who are like psychics or whatever, and they're there to tell you about your past lives, it could be true, it could be not true, it could be, but it's not, either way, it's not going to be as helpful or effective as you experiencing it yourself, so that my own past life recalls, someone said to me the other day, like, I think it'd be so weird, like, to imagine myself as someone else other than me. I don't think I could even do it. It would just feel so foreign, and I just wouldn't even know if it was real or not. And I thought about that, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess that helps me understand that when I had my own past life recalls, there was no even glimmer of this isn't me or this is another person. It was just me. I was just that person. Even when I was a man, that was still just me. I was Lindsey, but I was just Lindsey in this body at this time, or your consciousness, my consciousness did not differentiate between those bodies and who I actually am and what I actually am. So that I don't know, it's interesting. So if you don't experience that, how could you really understand that this was you and this is what you are? So I think that type of regression that Gordon did with Noriana, and having the spontaneous recall yourself are really the best ways. It could be true that other people can tell you what your past lives were. I just don't even necessarily know the point of that, though, right? And I'll say, and as someone who tells people sometimes what their past lives were, I'm still saying that, because if it does come up in a healing ceremony, or even sometimes in a tarot reading or something else, or even sometimes in tuning fork sessions, I will tell them, but the only things that I'm being shown and offered to offer them are because it will help them understand a pattern they're currently experiencing and help them unlock it. It's not because they're meant to remember it more deeply than that. So that makes sense to me in that way. But again, they're not coming to me to find out what their past lives are. It's just an incidental thing that can happen sometimes when we're working together. I don't even remember what your question was, and so hopefully that wasn't too rambling. Just stuff.
No, that's what I need. Just keep filling the airwaves with heady chat, heady combo. No, but I've only dabbled with the concept of past life regression. I've tried to regress myself a couple of times, and it must not have been that meaningful because I couldn't tell you like what I experienced. I think I was in France or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like impressions. I never made it to a state, a brainwave state or whatever it would require, where I felt like I was in the body or, dreaming the experience and in a way, but conscious of who I was. I was just getting kind of like I mentioned other ways of psychic impressions working for me, where it just like popped in my head. Okay, it was this, and then it was this, and it was really more of just a story and words. So I'd be kind of interested in having that experience just for the novelty of the expanded consciousness aspect of, by almost like bilocating into another experience.
Yeah, it is like that. And it's weird too, because when you're dreaming and you're like, oh, this is my house, but it's not my house at all. Like you wake up and you're like, it was my house, but it wasn't my house. That kind of thing. Like that's exactly what it's like. You're like, that was me, but it wasn't me now, but it was me, but it was the same, but it was different. Like your brain just gets it. Your consciousness just knows what's going on. But I also always point out, for myself at least, well, both for the past lives that come up for people who I'm working with, it's never a positive thing. The things that are coming back are not, well, because I'm healing with people and I'm helping people heal themselves. And so what comes up is what needs to be healed. And that's never anything but scars and trauma and darkness and whatever, which is fine. Like, that's why I do it. We all need to release this stuff, right? But that's been the same in my own past life memories that have come back. 100% of them have been exceptionally traumatic and horrifying, in the worst possible ways. The worst things
I think in mine I was on fire.
Yeah. That's more than an impression, but
well, I had the impression that I had been on fire.
I have been on fire recently.
Hey, Dakota, thanks for calling in. Answering the call.
How fun.
How's it going? I could not join, you know. When's the next time Lindsay's going to be on Chance's show and I'm getting invited on? Jeez.
That's awesome.
But I interrupted. This was a good combo. I interrupted.
Oh, I was just talking about how traumatic past life memories can be.
Yeah, I know. And it's like I'm one of those people who really wants to be regressed, but might not be the best idea.
But it might be when you are doing that type of regression that you're more likely to just have like unless you're intending for it to be healing, maybe. I'm not really sure. It might be more likely to just be like, yeah, I had Catherine O'Shea actually on one of the, I don't know which session. Like, I've taken classes from her. We've worked together privately. She's been at one day, so I'm not sure like when this took place. But I remember her saying, your guides are telling me to tell you that like you have all these memories of these past lives and they're all traumatic, and then this current life has been really traumatic also up until just a handful of years ago, and they just want you to know, like, you haven't only experienced trauma. And I just started bawling because I was like, that was actually a genuine belief I had. I was like, dude, I was just made to suffer. Like, I was just made to go through trauma and just like deal with it. I don't know, maybe I'm taking on the karma of the world or something. Like, maybe I can stop doing this someday. And she said that, and it just like, oh my God, thank God. She's like, yeah, you just didn't need to remember the positive ones yet, but they're there. Like, you have allies and guides that want you to know, like, those exist. So maybe you're more likely to find those if you do like hypno regression or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Maybe one day. Loriana, does she do regression? Hypno regression? She does? Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, so I'll grab her email and maybe we can put it. It's actually noriana@phoenixaurelius.org. Anybody can email her and ask her about it. It's usually, I think, $300 or something, but it's like a 4-hour process. So she goes through like everything.
And she can hypnotize you via Zoom then, huh?
Yeah, because Gordon just did it with her and he's in totally different state. So yeah, I think they did it via Zoom or phone or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'll look into 100%.
Do I get to tell people about what you did for me earlier, Dakota?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I'm a graduate of Brighter You, and in Brighter You, Lindsay teaches us how to give personal blessings to anyone that allows us to give them blessings. And I asked Lindsay if she would like a blessing today, and she had said, of course, and that she had bumped her head earlier today. And so if I wanted to, I could focus the blessing on the area of her head where she had bumped it. So I went into a space of meditation and gave her this blessing. And I was super proud to find out that the pain had subsided in Lindsay's head. And
dramatically.
Yeah, dramatically. And I still kind of am in disbelief of it, but I do believe Lindsay. I just don't believe myself. So, but yeah.
I totally understand. I still, every time I do a reading or a healing for people, I'm like, is this total bullshit or what? And then I talk to them and share with them what I saw or felt or whatever. And they're like, oh my God, that's exactly the thing or whatnot, which is what you did.
That's me, like 59 minutes into a 60-minute sound healing. And it's about time to like ask them, so how did it go? And I've just been playing forks for an hour. And
what a cool day, though. I mean, I'm super happy to be here. I met with Chance earlier today, and I gave Lindsay a blessing, and now I'm here. Like, dang, just rocking it.
Good day.
Yeah, that was like a corner shelf, and I just like leaned as fast as you can lean down into it, and there's like, I don't think you can see it, but you can see like a red mark, huh? That's the start of it, and it goes to back here.
Were you tending the chickens?
I was, and I came out.
I had a feeling that's what you were doing. That's funny.
Yeah. You got any questions or observations to throw to either of us?
Questions or observations? How did you guys meet?
How did we meet? Oh,
Matt Landman.
Yeah, our mutual friend Matt Landman. introduce
Okay.
us.
And
Put us in touch, and then I was like, well, I did need somebody to have a chat with about this super crazy, creepy transhumanist tarot from the video game Cyberpunk 2077. You want to do that? And then we did. And
I love video games and I do tarot, so yeah.
I did listen to that episode too. That was a good episode. I've noticed a lot of tarot or not tarot, but just weird symbolism in Call of Duties as well. I play a lot of Call of Duty, and you can unlock these emblems and whatnot. And there's often like skulls of rams, like with big horns, all over the game. And so I see that as like Satanistic imaging and stuff. And
I wouldn't trust the Call of Duty for sure in terms of like being benevolent of intent.
Definitely not the most benevolent game, but you gotta have balance in life, right? I do a lot of other things, so little Call of Duty here and there.
It's like hidden in most games. Well, I shouldn't say most games. In most of the games I play, at least, there's all of this occult shit, especially Assassin's Creed, which is why I love Assassin's Creed. But even I've been playing Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's old, but I just started playing it not that long ago, and this is not that weird, but it is cool. They have all these old whale skeletons in the deserts, just like we do here. You know, it's like a little nod to like, yeah, shit's actually weird. Why the fuck are there whales in the desert? I liked that. I thought that was cool. I was like, I wonder how much hidden history and sort of occulted knowledge and stuff gets slipped into even like kids games, you know, by people who are just bored as fuck. They're like making this game and they're just like drolling away on it, and they're like, dude, they're thinking about like ancient aliens and stuff, and then they just like slip some stuff in.
I have to point out the hilarious joke that Gabe just put out there. You were caring for chickens but neglecting a duck.
In my head.
It's true. Because
Uh,
I didn't duck.
That's a good one.
Hey,
Yeah.
Lindsay, we have a cool thing in the Vibe Rant chat. Jenny Beep grabbed a screenshot of your talk with Jean-Claude and some of your beautiful organ pieces. Have you got any handy to showcase for people right now that maybe they would want to grab one? Talk about the intention that goes into it, your crafting process, any of that would be cool.
This is so exciting. I have like 20 right now because I'm doing that convention, yeah, whatever it's called that I'm doing. So I'll have like a booth there to sell things. So I've had all of these orgone lotuses that I've been making. So here's one, for example. So you put your little candle in here and you can burn it, and it's orgone and it's lovely. So this specific one has, for example, I just got a bunch of cool new crystals too. This one has Xanadu leaves, chrysanthemum, and mukaite stones and silver in it. I always sell the lotus votives on my site. I don't actually have any up on the site right now because all the ones I've been making I'm taking to the this event. But you can also always order a custom orgone lotus votive and get whatever kind you want. My favorite is the Rainbow Warrior, which is all rainbow colors.
So beautiful.
And so this has red rose, white rose, pink rose, yellow aster. I think this one has eucalyptus and bear grass in it. Sometimes there's bay leaves or other greens in them. This one I also have been starting to do the rainbow of crystals in the Rainbow Warrior. I think the Rainbow Warrior is going to have to go up in price because I put like way too much in it. But this one has turquoise, carnelian, red jasper, green aventurite, amethyst, and sometimes other ones in it as well. So I'll show one more. This one has tourmaline in it, as well as some more yellow and purple aster. No, shoot, which flower is this? Wax flower, purple wax flowers, and Xanadu leaves again, and the tourmaline and gold. They all have a different metal, silver, copper, or gold. So those are my favorite orgone that I've been making for a while now. I still have the pendants as well, so you can wear them, which I love because then you can take with you wherever you go. And they're always at least 4 layers, if not more. They're just layered with organic and inorganic materials, because there's always crystal, there's always plant matter, and there's always a metal. And then sometimes I use different papers, either organic handmade papers or pieces of text that I like, old books that I'm ripping up irreverently. But I also put blessing. So the same type of blessing that Dakota was just talking about, where he heals my head for me, I put that energy into these too. And my intention when I do it is that when you receive it, it activates with you in your intention for what the blessing is in whatever way is appropriate. So, you know, if you're going to like wish death on someone, that's not going to happen. But obviously no one's going to do that.
It's a good fail safe.
Yeah, there's a fail safe in there that I just say as appropriate. And so, but it is extra powerful because of that. So when people get them, they like to set their own intention with that blessing and then use them, especially the organ lotuses, with burning a candle every time you meditate maybe, and just bringing a little extra energy into the space. So they're super beautiful and I love them. Joey!
Hey,
Joey!
in the house.
Hey,
It's like a
Good to
brighter
put a
year
face to
here.
the screen name. I see you in the chats all the time, man. What's up?
just figured I'd pop in and say hi.
I love it.
I love getting some new faces up on the screen tonight. This is great. This is what I want.
I love it because we just spent 7 weeks together, 6 weeks together, and this is the 7th, I guess, this Wednesday night. We would have been meeting for Brighter You if it was still going.
Got to make it
Yeah.
nice round 7.
Seen Dakota in there, so I'm like, I got to jump in too.
Gotta get in there. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's so cool.
I've got one last question for Chance. What is the chances you think we could get Johnny and Lindsey to go to a festival with us?
Pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
That's really is a Lindsey question.
Yeah, I know, but I think you have the power to convince her.
Well, what we want to do is like get me and Lindsey set up to do workshops at some kind of badass transformational festival.
Real tarot readings, because there's a lot of tarot readings that happen at festivals, and it'd be cool to
Oh
see.
yeah, you can. We'll be up there wherever we go. We can be set up with a booth. I can sell art. Lindsey can sell creations. Johnny can whatever he does, and can also do readings for people. I've even one thing that really set me into like wanting to get to, I guess, work with clients on sound healing is the fact that I tried it once with somebody at a music festival. We were at a vendor booth where I was vending art near a main stage. There was music going on. It was so loud I couldn't even hear the forks, but the whole process as I do it still worked. I couldn't even hear them. So like it totally just tapped me into the almost magnetic sense of pulling and sweeping the fork through the field and like just the energetic side of it. And I was like, this is wild stuff. So yeah, I would love to go to a festival with all my peeps. I mean, that's the dream. Maybe even create our own.
How about you, Joey? You gonna go with us too?
Oh, I'd love to.
That'd be awesome. I'll share the link to one that I'm going to here this summer, and maybe it would be a good one to meet up at.
Where is it?
In Ohio. Chance shared one with me today as well. That might be a good one to meet up at as well.
Yeah, I'm doing one in Missouri in May. It's a really great transformational festival. I know the people that run it, and like I've done oracle cards for her kids, and like it's all very family friendly.
When in May?
I'll find out in 2 seconds. Like
I
already have it open.
I have planned my 2-week vacation for May.
Oh,
I'm giving myself a 2-week vacation.
It's not that crazy of a drive to come to Missouri.
No, that's
Yeah.
actually what we want to do. I mean, if gas isn't like $70 a gallon, we want to drive around the Midwest. I think Missouri is the Midwest.
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
That'd be a great way for you guys to connect with your communities as well. Just be like, hey, I'll be here at this fest. Come find me, you know?
We almost did it. What was the one? Chance?
I
this
think
one.
it was this one last
Yeah.
time. It's Reconnection Festival is what it's called. So you can see they spell connection with K-I-N because they're referring to us all being kin. We're all family. And it's got, it's camping festival. It's got tons of really amazing spiritual workshops and yoga workshops and great music. Schmongel, Ellis Dream, Wookiefoot, Dirtwire, lots of stuff I like. And then Recycled Funk, really good. So there's going to be jam bands and electronic music of a bunch of different flavors. And it's awesome. It's really great. And people here are not afraid to hug you. They're not judgmental. Like they're not gonna be worried about if you got your cowpokes or whatever. Everything's good. And it's 19th through the 22nd of May, and it's 40 minutes outside of St. Louis. We should see Snake Jones there. I mean, that's practically in his neighborhood.
Hell yeah.
The art for that is awesome too.
That's like the last 3 days of my planned vacation.
Oh, come out. Yeah, do it. Oh, yeah, it's so worth it. Oh, we'll have so much fun. Yes, I want you to come. Oh, I'm getting really excited.
I just remember last time, though I didn't go, I still went because whatever was happening in Astroland, I like came and did a protection around your booth.
Oh, thank you. Well, it works because everything was perfect. You want to know something really funky that happened at that festival, that, in a good way, was one of my friend Jordan, who is the workshop coordinator, and we shared a booth as a part of an artist collective, Crow Mother Collective, shout out. She had 2 or 3 years prior at one of these festivals at this ground. She had lost a copper handmade wand that had like this really cool quartz crystal set in it, and she just lost it somewhere. She didn't know where. And at this last one, somehow, some way, she parked to like get out of her van and like start setting up, and she stepped on some squishy mud, and the top point of this wand just like poked her in the foot as soon as she got to the event. And it had like yeah, right. And it had like the copper on it had oxidized in this really cool way. It looked like a gnarled branch with a crystal coming out of it, and it was like upgraded. Dude. So thanks, Earth.
Yeah, that is super cool.
Wow, it's super high powered now.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Hey, so Joey, right?
Yeah.
I saw that you were posting in the Vibe Rant call-in line some cool Catherine O'Shea stories. You want to drop those on us?
Yeah, I could share a little bit about that because I just signed up for her class there, like Soul Connection to Your Pet. I thought that was pretty cool course, and I figured I'd just try it out because it was recommended when I was in Brighter U, Lindsey's Brighter University course. But yeah, Catherine, just had a meeting with her at 7:30 tonight, and then she was telling me about the connection I have to my pet. Like, I'm not living with my pet right now, though. Zoe, she's at my parents' house in St. Anne, and I moved to the city recently. But yeah, this is cool because I had incidents with another person in the past, and her name was Zoe, and they weren't very good incidents. But I feel like Zoe is brought into my life to kind of like put a different image or a different name on that person that was in my past, or at least even the term Zoe, which means life. And it's kind of beautiful that like Catherine kind of told me that Zoe's being brought into my life to help me bring joy back into my life. And it's neat that Zoe's named Life. And I used to play soccer and be in love with like playing soccer and that. So I did post a video online that's just of Zoe playing soccer. And my dad has been like snow blowing all the snow in our yard all winter long, and Zoe's been playing with a soccer ball like nonstop. So it's been pretty hilarious because since 8 weeks or 9 weeks old, she's just been going and going. Like she'll take the ball, run around in circles, and sometimes she'll bring the ball so fast into the snowbank, and then she bangs her head, but then she'll keep going. And then she's like a meditative dog too, because after she gets her energy all like drained and that, then she'll go find a room in the house where there's nobody in it. Sometimes she'll go into a closet, sometimes into another bedroom, and like she picks like different rooms every time, so it's harder to find her. But it's like she wants to be in complete silence and completely alone. So yeah,
it's funny. Your dog is meditating. That's so cool.
And if you go look at her when she's sleeping, then she gets all annoyed a little bit. But yeah.
She's like, I'm working here, okay?
Yeah.
I just saw SB Alger pop into the chat. Lindsay, I got to show you this. I don't know if you saw it. He made this picture of me.
Yes.
Check this out. Like the Mary Poppins fork wizard Mortal Kombat costume.
Yes.
I don't know.
That's so awesome. I love it.
I'm going to show that a million more times in my life.
Top part of the lightning bolt is almost like a feather coming out of the tuning fork too.
Oh yeah.
Like
hey, Sean, come on and say hi if you want. We still got time.
Yeah, I'll bounce out of here and make room for others. You should get a hat like that though, Chance. That is definitely a cool hat. You got that. You can rock that all day.
I need it to be clear like that somehow.
Yeah. That'd make a good tapestry too for the fests. Make that.
Yeah, but you don't got to bounce either. You know, we can hold a lot of faces up here. Whatever flows. No
Okay,
pressure.
yeah, oh, yeah, no worries.
You can definitely get that in clear. I think that can happen.
That hat in clear.
I'm gonna make orgone hats.
Ah, there you go.
That'd be amazing. Just a crown of orgone.
My birthday's
That's
coming
basically
up.
what crowns are, right? They're technology. If you think about it, they're whatever metal. They have however many points. Like they're antiquitech, and they're covered in jewels, specific jewels for specific reasons. It's not.
I think they're there to block out external signals, man. It's like the tinfoil hat, but it's fancy.
And highlight the ones you do want, right? It's attunement.
It makes me wonder because, like, with hair and that, you could curl it up inside the hat, and then you got the cone, and then you could put like jewels around it. And,
and your hair is already an extension. Yeah. Yeah, good call.
Need some orgone beads for the dreads. That's what I need.
That'd be cool. I do the rings. I don't know. I could do beads probably too.
Those rings were wedding rings you had commissioned? That's what Jen said?
They were like wedding rings. They were, I guess engagement rings would be more appropriate because they got different rings for the actual ceremony.
That is cool.
But it was such an honor. I was like, yeah, I can do that. I think I can do that. Let me try it first before you pay me. But also what an honor to be asked to do something so special for people. And it's very touching. And they're powerful, even the shape, some of the molds you can get, I'm like, that shape isn't very conducive to like good energy flow in my opinion. But especially obviously the ring and different things are. The lotus like blows my mind. I love it so much. The shape is beautiful.
Speaking of commission projects, there's one that I'm working on for you. You want to tell them about your novels? I'm narrating this one as often and quickly as I can for everybody to consume with my voice.
That's my longest book, and then the Key of Transformational Healing that just came out is the shortest. So that one's like 700 pages or something.
People are down to read a 900-page Harry Potter book. They can read this.
That's true. It's kind of Harry Potter-esque actually too.
It actually does have some of that feel to it. I mean, I haven't read all of it yet. It's fun because I'm discovering the story as I narrate it. It's not something I've already read.
There's people ask me what genre it is, and I'm like, it's like fantasy, sci-fi, historical fiction. And they're like, what? I'm like, I know, dude, I know. It's
called Sine Curve of Aeons.
Don't ask me. Yeah, Sine Curve of Aeons, Vitalis. And then the sequel to it is Earth, A Trough in Time, which you're also going to narrate. So people have been asking me for years, like, a lot of people who watch our shows and listen to our shows don't want to do anything but listen to things. That's why they're listening to our shows. They like to listen to stuff. So they're like, when are you going to do the audiobook? And I did an audiobook. And as I was doing the audiobook, I had more come through. And so I had to actually readjust the entire book. And then I was like, God damn it, I can't record this fucking book again. Like, I can't do it. And so Chance, you did it recently. Remind me of the book that you recorded recently.
Oh yeah, July's End with Black Swans, part of the Spirit World book series by Dylan Sakosio. Way more challenging to narrate.
Yeah, it's like narrating a dictionary.
Yeah, it really is. I'm just like reading the names of crazy mythological gods and goddesses from cultures I had no idea about, and words in French and Italian and Latin and Greek. Actually, though, one thing that came out of that I would love to put forward to people as a practice, and this is Dylan's idea. Hey, what's up, Sean? This was Dylan's idea, is that people ought to think...
Can you guys hear me or no?
Oh, yeah. But
my headphones just weren't working, so I just cranked my volume up here. Maybe I can hear you.
Yeah. What's up, handsome? We got this idea from Dylan of like, give yourself 5 minutes a day to go over the Greek alphabet or alphabets in other languages, and just over time familiarize yourself with it and memorize it phonetically. It makes a huge difference in your ability to decode things if you can see words in other languages and actually know how to sound it out, because then you're like, oh, that sounds just like the word in the language I'm familiar with. So just a piece of advice.
That's when I lived in Turkey. I did that with the alphabet, and Turkish language is actually the best and easiest to learn in the world, in my opinion, because all of their letters have exactly one sound and one sound only. So once you know the sound, you can read anything perfectly. Very much
That's handy.
very much unlike English. But yeah, so you had just narrated that book, and I was like, oh, you have the best voice, you have the best recording equipment, and you have your tuning forks on command. And I love that because I wanted to have you record it and then add some tuning fork into the audio. So when people listen to this book, they're going to also be receiving energy and information in other ways, which makes me so happy because it's exactly something that would have happened at the time that this book took place.
Absolutely. Hey, so what's up, John?
Oh, just out here. I've been trying to get a routine to be ahead of the flow state and actually kind of be somewhat ready by the time we start, and it kind of worked.
Yeah, here you are, 15 minutes early or so.
So you guys are seeing my pre-funk, as we used to call it. Pre-funk used to mean to drink a lot. Now it means to move art supplies around so that you have a place to sit.
I was like, do people not know what pre-funk means?
I didn't.
I did not either.
Well, hey, I mean, I was an honorary cougar at WSU. I never attended any classes at WSU, but I used to travel there redundantly with my friends to drink and do drugs and take acid. And pre-funk was a big part of the drinking in that college scene was so bad that it was actually a policy to get drunk until you throw up before you leave to go to the first party.
Oh, wow.
We used to call it zook and rally. That was what they called it. You got to zook and rally. You weren't really tough or cool if you didn't drink, if you didn't abuse the booze hard enough to throw up before you left. Usually in a car, to go drive to a party. So
it's funny because my students would ask me like, Miss Brown, did you party in college? And I got to honestly answer them like, no, not really. Because I had done all my partying by the time I got to college, I was pretty much done. I was like, I'm just gonna study now.
No, that's awesome.
So I didn't have the college party scene. I did, however, halfway through college, have like a period of time where I went to less classes, and I was trying to quit smoking. So I told myself, well, I'll just only smoke if I'm drinking, which I only do a couple times a week anyway. So I'm allowed to have a cigarette if I'm drinking, which then turned into I need to drink all day every day so that I.
That's right.
And so I became like an alcoholic accidentally again.
Yeah, no, the brain is creative. If you set some arbitrary rule, it will definitely work with it, just like a lawyer or a politician. Like, oh, so we want to smoke, so we're going to drink all the time then.
Yeah. This is how I met this random guy who was like, it was so stupid. He was like, oh, you're a girl who takes shots? And I was like, yeah, I'll take shots. And I was like, you want to buy me a shot? Like, give me a cigarette and buy me a shot. This is my whole gig. I just go to bars and I get guys to buy me shots and give me cigarettes. He was like, yeah, but you won't take like real shots. And I'm like, what's a real shot? Buy me a shot. I'll drink your shot. And he's like, bought me, I don't know. It was whatever might be considered a real shot. Maybe it was tequila or something. And I shot it, and he was like, whoa. And he's like, yeah, but you won't take, like, any shot. And I was like, I'll take any shot that's actually a shot. I'm not going to take, like, piss or something, right? But, like, if it's a shot that people take, I'll take it. And he didn't believe me. And he was like, I was like, well, do you want to make a bet or something? And he's like, I bet you $100 you won't take the shot that I'm about to order you. And I'm like, it has to be an actual shot that, like, bartenders make. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, agreed. And he got me the shot that was 151 with a float of Tabasco.
Yeah.
But the bartender was his friend. So the bartender made the float way more than a float. And so I shot it though, and I sat there and I was like, what? And he was like, holy shit. And inside I was like dying. I was like, oh my God, I'm totally gonna barf, but I can like hang, right? I can handle this. And I was like, what? I was like, give me another cigarette. And I'm like smoking it, and I'm like, eventually like get done with the cigarette. I'm like, I mean, I have to go pee, so I'm gonna go pee, but I'll be back to get my money or whatever. And I went and barfed like 4 times in the bathroom because it's just so disgusting. And my stomach was like not. So then I went back out, and he was still there, which actually surprised me. I was like, he's totally gonna take off, so he doesn't have to pay me. But then he didn't fucking pay me. What a piece of shit.
Of course. Yeah, lame.
But I did get free shots of cigarettes, so I guess that's cool.
No, I can totally imagine you being the girl that can kick it and hang with the guys that think they're crazy and tough and cool. That.
I was like, that's literally was my whole. Just like right now, I'm surrounded by men. Like that's all I've ever been surrounded by men.
It doesn't surprise me, Lindsay.
my friends would like go do whatever and hang out, and I'd be like, cool, bye, and I'd like go to where all the guys were hanging out and like play video games with them, which is why everyone thought I was a lesbian. That and that I had hanging from my car, you know, those deodorizer, whatever those are called, refresher.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, air freshener.
Air freshener. I had a rainbow one hanging from my rear view, and I'd like never thought about it. I was just like, I like rainbows, like
Yeah.
And later I found out people were like, oh, we thought you were a lesbian. I was like, I dated guys, like in front of people, openly. Whatever.
Speaking
I feel
of
bad for all the people that just like rainbows, and now they, you know.
It has to mean something now.
Yeah, well, the astrologer Levette always points out that they've got the rainbow inverted with the lower chakra energies at the bottom. So she always tells people to turn their rainbow flags upside down, so that the lower chakras aren't emphasized at the top.
Oh.
You know, so I always thought that was fascinating, and it's true. I've noticed when I see it, it's like it's always starting red from the top, which is, you know, inverted. You know, that's like, you know, that's like your crotch where your head should be. You know, so
And that's all
I
they
always
ever
thought-
do is invert.
Yeah,
everything.
it's
earlier today, me and Dakota were talking about like crazy music festival stories and getting into sort of the energetics of those expanded consciousness states people find themselves at
Yeah.
there. And it reminds me of a time that I saw a rainbow that had extra bars. I don't know if anyone else has ever seen this, but a rainbow that extended further into a lower color spectrum than just the red at the bottom.
Yeah,
I
I've seen
saw-
it where it kind of gets all blurry and like goes farther than the red at the bottom, but I've never seen more colors, but definitely like where it kind of fades off into like the red whole area is big and wide, and then it like kind of blurred out, you know?
It was kind of
There's
like that what I saw, but it was like black and a white and a black and a white under the red.
Trippy.
I haven't seen it like that, but there's like the rainbow, and then there's like a space where you can tell there's something else, and then another rainbow starts, but inverted below it or whatever. And you can see again, there's like a space for something else before the colors you can see are there again.
Yeah, fascinating.
Which might be also what you're seeing, but in a different way.
Mm.
I have a question for Lindsay that I've been holding on to.
Which other shots have you taken?
Other than that, you know, that can be the next question, but
There's not that many exciting
what's
shots.
a piece of advice you have for people about connecting with guides and guardians?
I would say to be grounded, which we never actually got back to, which you don't actually have to be touching the ground to do, but to be grounded and within yourself, your attention within yourself, to be as quiet and still in there as possible before you reach out. And by reach out, I really mean reach in, because you're still going to keep your attention and intention within you. And I would just make sure that you're very clear in your intention about what type of guides, because there's plenty of real bad, dark ones. Well, happy to guide you, just like there are people who are happy to be like, yeah, I'll buy you a shot, without your best intention or your best, without the best intentions for you. So it is good. But if you are in that alignment and as your intention is very clear within you what type of energy you would like to communicate with and connect with, then it'll be a lot harder for anything negative to get in. Harder, but not impossible, depending on what you're doing, where you're coming from.
So when it comes to hearing them, it's just about like getting real quiet and listening to that still small voice within and asking yourself the question.
You could think of it as asking yourself, or you could think of it as asking them, and it depends on how you perceive them. But it is going to come from within you. Like, I'm not going to say that actually, because it can come from outside of yourself too. And that can also be safe and good. It's a different type of thing.
You could like see a sign on the highway that answers exactly what you were asking.
Or literally a guide could come like manifest in front of you physically. Like, that can happen too. So
I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
One time we were stuck on the side of the road after a long rafting trip at church camp, And like we were terrified because we were stuck on a road. We didn't know where we were. The wind was blowing so bad that we couldn't see anything, and there was dirt and rocks flying everywhere. And the youth pastor asked my friend to pray. And so he prayed for guidance. And then this old farm truck pulled up out of the middle of the mayhem, and he jumped out and he said, "You guys look lost. Follow me." And so we did, and he vanished as soon as the road was clear. Like we didn't, like we looked all over, like we even slowed down and looked, like where did he go? And he just is just gone, you know. So I've always accounted that to being miraculous. Like, what the hell is that, you know?
Absolutely.
You ask for guidance, and guidance arrives and leads you to safety, and then literally dematerializes as far as we could tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I just heard another story very similar to that. So I think, and I bet a bunch of people in the chat and have also had similar types of experiences, and maybe you guys have too. So that's a way too. Or it can be like a light. You know, people have like orbs or whatever, and they're not immaterial completely. They're there, right? Even if they're not like, you can't touch them, but they're physically present in whatever way you want to describe that. So yeah, and you can always ask too. I always say to ask whether if you're hearing something, if you're seeing it in your third eye, if you're feeling it just internally, if you're just knowing it, or if you're seeing it outside of yourself, you can ask it, you know, what are you? Who are you? What are you from? What are your intentions? What are your intentions with my daughter? And then they have to answer you. And I've had people who disagree with me about this. They're like, no, they don't have to answer you. And if they do answer you, they don't have to tell the truth. And I'm like, that's bullshit. I have encountered maybe hundreds, if not more, types of entities, and all of them seem bound by that same principle. They absolutely have to answer you truthfully. They don't have to answer you at all, but they have to answer you truthfully if they do answer you. They can't lie.
I tell this story all the time from my buddy Hakan that said he met the giant Cthulhu cephalopod demon monsters outside of the world construct, and they're all like, "Ooh, we're scary." And he's like, "So what is this? Tell me everything." And they're like, "Oh, you're not afraid? Okay, so this is how the realm is structured, and it works like this." And he came back and made some crazy art about it.
Yeah, that's a badass piece of art. I love that you study that thing, man, because it's so endlessly fascinating, and there's more to look at. Yeah.
I love that thing too. Yeah, that's a cool story. That's very similar to a lot of guides are looking in ways that we are taught to find scary. And I wonder if that's intentional too, right? If they're like, oh yeah, horned demons are so bad, and all the horned entities I've ever met are actually pretty rad. They're very powerful, but they're pretty awesome. I've never met a negative horned entity. Yeah, in fact, the negative entities I've met really want to look exactly like what you think good things look like.
There you go.
So
yeah, and it's so sad. A lot of people they'll say, well, my house might be haunted, and you're like, well, yeah, you probably have a couple spirits or something hanging around. This house is old. They're like, don't say that. Like, I don't want to know that. I don't want to think about that. And it's like, well, it's not something to be so scared of. They're just like us, you know. I mean, they're just hanging out. So that stigma in the world where everyone's just so scared of it. And I think that's another thing about the guides, getting the guides to answer you, is most people just don't know to ask, and nor do they even believe that you can ask. They just don't even know that they're there. And so you tell them like, hey, just ask. They're like, what do you mean ask? You know, like, what, ask who? Like, your guides
ask
are
what
there.
you shall receive.
Exactly. They're always there.
I think sometimes, go ahead, Joey.
Okay, and you're not always going to get evidence that they're even there. Like, sometimes you see it with apparition, like the story was just explained. But other times, maybe an apparition does come up, and maybe it does make changes, but nobody's there to see it. And that can happen a lot of times too. And it's just like the physical reality, people get so attached to it, but no, the physical reality is just as fluid as anything inside of us. And as we change what's inside of us, that changes too. And asking for those guides and asking for that help could be the thing that initiates and catalyzes those changes to start to occur.
These are the geniuses I got to work with for 6 weeks.
Joey just killed it.
I know.
I'm going to have to go Sam Tripoli and say, you just dropped the hammer of the gods on these unsuspecting fools.
Well, it makes me think of Lindsey's story of talking. I remember hearing your first experience with tarot, and how the person who was teaching you invited any old spirit that wanted to come in, and that everything went haywire for a while. And like the Christians came and helped you, but then you were able to re-navigate the path, which most people don't do. Most people are like, cool, I got to a safe base. Jesus, thank you for saving me. I'm never going back, and they try to stick with that, which really is kind of, it's really not even a very Christian thing to do, it's okay to go back and experiment and try again, especially if you're being genuine, like obviously if you're being selfish and you keep venturing into this realm with a self-centered mode, then you're going to find it all snap back on you because it's not about just you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, and it's very very dangerous to just invite any random thing. That's why I was very careful to say when you're reaching towards guides and asking for their communication that you're very clear on what you are going to get back. And so the best way you can do that is to first command anything that isn't, however you want to describe it, of your own highest good, of your own highest path, of the highest service of all of, humanity or source or heaven or whatever, to get out of the space, and then invite in the opposite, all that's good, true, and beautiful, your allies and guides of love and light that uphold you, that serve, that highest source, or however you want to say it, doesn't even matter, but just so you're really clear about what it is you want to align with. Because that thing and a couple of the others I've dealt with in my life are fucking terrifying. Like,
the story stuck with me when you told it, because I've heard a lot of people tell similar stories, but what I love about yours is that you persevered, and it's not like you just persevered one time. You persevered and made it into a big part of who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and helping just about anyone that wants to come along and ask for help. You're willing to help them one way or the other, and most people don't have that confidence, Lindsey.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really this is also, people will see it. We had that meme earlier that was like, I'm love and light, but don't fuck with me or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like this has taught me, I have great joy and great depth, and I love people. And also, as soon as you start fucking with me, I'm like, rawr. People are like, damn, you're an asshole. And I'm like, yeah, because I learned real well about boundaries. And
That's a great meme. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I wonder where that kid's at right now. I want to talk to him.
We got a rainbow going on too.
Yeah, there is a rainbow there. Shoot, the sync.
And it's not just the demonic or the dark entities or whatever, the incorporeal beings, but it's also the corporeal ones that you have to watch out for, because these people also are in that vibration, they're in that alignment, and they're choosing to channel that energy, and they're also dangerous, right? And these are people you've met,
and these other things are riding on top of them without, oftentimes unbeknownst to them. That's the other thing, A lot of the time people are screwed up and weird and toxic and negative because they've got a bunch of attachments that they either don't know about or they don't know what to do about. So they just keep drinking or drugging or whatever, creating drama.
Yeah, exactly. Dakota really talked about today when we were getting into how entities come to big festive events to feast really on to feast and generate the type of energies that they want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because everyone's vacating themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because think about how much energy they get to eat then, and then it's like there's got to be how many just little guys, little gnats, little assholes, but then the big guys are there too, because they can get a lot of food from that source.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me think of Spirited Away in the bathhouse.
The hungry ghost or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's all kinds of ghosts all frequenting the bathhouse for different reasons, but then No Face comes and he's like this horrible, powerful demon that's trying to bribe the young girl with gold to kind of be his willing participant or slave or whatever, and
like Hollywood.
I think that's what that movie is. Personally, I think it's an allegory for that type of scene. But I also see the same allegory for festivals. I remember going to a 2 or 3 day Fish concert way back when. It was probably 98 or something. And I've got it bootlegged on tape somewhere. But yeah, the show was great and everything was a cool vibe and time. But by the second night of kicking it at the campground, there was a lot of weird juju flying around. And I remember I went back over to buy some more nitrous balloons, and the whole vibe was just so the dude selling was so wackadoo that I eventually took the 2 balloons out of his hand and forced my money into his hand and be like, we're We're good, bro.
Bye.
I'm gonna go back over here because you're not in your body anymore. You're still standing at your nitrous tank, and you're no longer with your body. So it's making it kind of weird.
I think that's why
Oh my
the,
gosh.
I think that's why the rainbow gatherings don't allow drugs or alcohol.
For real. Yeah, you
Like,
can.
it's
What
Exactly.
they do, how I heard it described was that there's like a camp, which is on the outer perimeter.
Outer.
So yeah, how it's cool because it's the way I heard it described was that as you get closer and closer to the center of the gathering, you're like going through layers of people that have activated and have strengthened chakras all the way up to max level when you get to the center where everybody's just like really in their God mode.
I was supposed to hitchhike from Seattle to somewhere in Mexico when I was 18 in the year 2000 to go to a rainbow gathering with the love of my life at the time. And right before that happened, I was beaten and abused by the police and charged with false crimes such as possession of a deadly weapon with intent to use against a law enforcement agent, even though I didn't even own a gun and hadn't ever held one at that point in my life, and other things that were horribly wrong. And then like 2 days after that, I got T-boned and my car was totaled. And so I had to like stay and deal with all this like legal shit and courts and like whatever. And he like hitchhiked off in the distance. I don't think I've literally ever talked to him since then, actually. And that was why I didn't go to my own one and only rainbow gathering. I just was like not supposed to go to that rainbow gathering. Maybe someday I'll get to a rainbow gathering.
I hate to do it, but we got to start wrap this thing up so that there's room for a flow state over on Weaving Spiders Welcome. If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, go to the Weaving Spiders Welcome YouTube channel and watch for them to go live. Not long after this, we all get together and we read books to each other and do art and put art on screen. And we encourage everyone to come and activate the flow state by taking in the information with the right brain and working out the left brain with some mechanistic process of drawing or painting or sculpting or whatever it is that you do. And we have so much fun.
I made this last week.
Is this a sculpture? I can't see the whole
I've been
thing.
Yeah, I've been playing with Fimo clay, so it's just like sometimes I run the Fimo through my little roller thing, and it looks so pretty and cool that I can't stand to do anything with it. So I just kind of make it look like a piece of fabric and just fire it that way, you know.
It reminds me of all the other art you do. You have like a very specific aesthetic.
Thank you.
My
Yeah, I decided at some point that this was going to be it, and I was going to like keep my vibe rolling, and it's working. You saying that gives me terrific encouragement. Thank you.
Good.
Well, thanks for having us, Chance. It's been a blessing, an absolute blessing. And it was nice meeting you as well, Sean. Right, Sean?
Yeah. Nice to meet you guys.
And good
I'll
hanging
have to
out.
go back and check this out and hear the rest of the convo.
Yeah, of course. And I'm going to skedaddle on out of here. It was good talking with you guys. Much love to you.
Much love to you, Dakota.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you too, Joey.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for
I've
having me
seen
on.
you in the chats a lot, and I
Nice to see
appreciate
you,
all the
Joey.
support.
Yeah. Peace out.
All right, so everyone make sure you know about rogueways.org to check out Lindsey's prolific work, all the different ways that you can see what she's up to.
And get ready for the audiobook.
Yeah, and get ready for the audiobook in however many months from now. I'm doing my best, though. I'm definitely into it. It's a fun project.
Awesome. It was so much fun to hang out with you guys tonight. Thanks for having me. Glad to
Yeah.
be
All
back.
right.
Good to see you.
Love
Yeah,
you,
you too.
Lindsey. Love you, SB. Love
Love
you,
you.
everybody in the chat. Thanks so much. We'll see you later.
See y'all on the flip side.